From that to Inside the NFL, presented by Farmers Insurance.
Hey, folks, the electrifying, well-oiled juggernaut, whatever you want to call them, Philadelphia Eagles, they continue to soar. But this holiday season seems like teams like the Bears, and I'll never knock anybody because you guys are from the fraternity, they can only look forward to coal this Christmas because they got to look towards silver linings for next year. John Madden said, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, the one position on the football team that you don't have to be steeped in football knowledge or know the game intimately well is that of
the owner.
The owner.
Yes.
So talk about squads that maybe can look towards next year to correct some things.
Well, you know, I would probably say, like, for the Jets, I think there are a lot of good young players that Mike McCagnon has added to this roster. They found themselves a wide receiver in Robbie Anderson. Austin Severian-Jenkins has rebuilt his career. I love the two new safeties that they have. There's energy, there's attitude, there's a fire there. Now, when I compare that to the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Browns have a micromanaging owner that gets involved in everything. They're going to clean house. I think, you know, Hugh Jackson probably wants to get out of there as quickly as possible. I say that only because that's how I would feel if I were in his situation. And I just don't necessarily know that there is an answer if that owner continues to micromanage the team.
I don't know if there's an answer in Cleveland, but I tell you, think about the Chicago Bears, right? Think about a great defense right now. I mean, playing physical defense. Their run game.
Up front.
Up front. And then you talk about this young quarterback, Trubisky.
Right.
Is he that guy? Right? So if you think about a silver line, what does next year look like, right? Do we add pieces on the secondary? Do we get Trubisky help? Right? Then you kind of transition and you ask yourself, what about the New York Giants? Right? I think the thing you really have to think about is, can OBJ save us? Can he come back and be that one person that really energizes everything around New York again to get everybody to believe in New York Giants?
Well, interesting stuff. Chicago Bears, they have built their football team inside out. Yeah. So I think their lines are good. I think that's the easiest rebuild. They got the quarterback. I think he's the real deal. Yeah. You can go get wide receivers, and you can find some defensive backs, but you can't find those quality offensive linemen and defensive linemen.
Did you see them as this year's Philadelphia Eagles? You know how, like, Carson Wentz?
Well, maybe not that severe, but I could see them making a huge jump over what I wouldn't do this. Name me a wide receiver for Chicago Bears.
Well, that's the point.
It's hard to even.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But could you do that last year for the Philadelphia Eagles? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they struggled too.
Are they similar? So you go out and you get them some help, and all of a sudden now they find fire. You know what I'm saying? So maybe there is something there.
Let me go back to what you were talking about, though, with the Cleveland Browns. And I know Jimmy has them and all this. All I know about the Cleveland Browns is this. They have some quality offensive linemen. And up front, they've got some big-time players. Myles Garrett is everything you wanted in the first pick of the draft. He is a superstar waiting to happen, and they got about 4 or 5 other good defensive linemen. So there's at least something of hope when you talk about
Myles,
go ahead, Ray.
Then Myles Garrett is going to have to go from just being a great football player to a great front office guy as well. No, seriously. No, seriously. It's one thing that Ozzie done in my young career was he said, you have to tell me the players you want to play with.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's when we went out and got Sam Adams. We went and got Michael McCrary. We went and got Rod Woodson. Right? Like that wasn't a GM move. That was a GM move saying, I need a player to tell me what to do.
Give me 15 seconds. We can't leave the 49ers out of the equation. What about the 49ers?
49ers, they got 3 first-round defensive linemen sitting there who are actually good players. And I think they got a quarterback. So they got tons of draft picks. That's the other thing about some of these teams.
Tons of money.
They're loaded with draft picks and money, and you can rebuild a team quick.
Yeah, I mean, look,
GM, listen to you.
Yeah,
I love that.
Look, Garoppolo right now he's the silver lining for them, right? Okay. And now you have to build everything around him. And those 3 first-rounders you're talking about on that D-line, they have a real ability to get back in this thing very quickly.
You know, the big question is, how can we rebuild this show? Are we going to get this thing fixed?
John Morales gave me the go-ahead while Phil was trying to head down a different track.
Somewhere.
Folks, the Grinch around the Meadowlands is usually that guy, Phil Simms. But this week for the New York Jets, it was Cam Newton. Another controversial video review and one more fourth-quarter meltdown, Boomer.
Wow. Man, I'll tell you what's a tough one, but we got rid of our weakness, I think.
They say that this